Four people with four unique stories on one mission to disassemble corporate brokerage one bad suit and tie at a time. We are the Rebels of Real Estate.
Woo! We know scope.
Good morning.
How is everyone doing?
We the best.
You know,
podcast.
It's nice out. It's a little chilly.
It is chilly today.
It's chilly.
2 days of nice weather and
Favorite
it's going to rain again. But I got my pumpkin spice coffee, so I'm happy.
Wow.
Basic.
You're a basic bee. Next week is beautiful. I don't know if you guys looked at the outlook. It's like high 70s and sunny every day next week.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're heading to Florida.
We're not going to be here.
Florida.
Well, Corey's going to be in Costa Rica, getting monkey poo thrown at him probably.
Hopefully not.
I hope
Actually,
so.
I was.
And I hope it's on video.
One guy, I watched a video of the people sitting outside, and this monkey came over and took his laptop. He turned like this, grabbed the laptop, and was gone immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, they're probably trained to take stuff from
They
people.
might be. Who knows? But they're super quick. They said you can't turn your don't turn your face away. They will.
They get paid in peanuts.
They might.
That's wild.
I'm just kidding. Oh my goodness.
Monkey gangs.
Go watch out for those monkeys.
The sloths. They're super quick down there.
I love sloths.
Actually, I would love to hold a sloth. I think that would be cool.
I want to cuddle with a sloth.
You want to cuddle?
They seem very friendly.
Yeah.
I'll try while I'm there.
Okay, you do
I
it.
want a spoon, big spoon with a sloth.
Big.
You're going to be like the only guy in history to have his thumb bit off by a sloth.
That'd be great.
Anyhow,
Yes. So I figured there's a lot going on in the real estate market. Things are changing again, it seems like a little bit. But so it kind of begs the question of talking about reinventing yourself when things change. Adam, you forgot to tell us what podcast we are.
Did I?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did say it.
What podcast are we at?
We are at podcast 19.
We just said podcast. many
Podcast,
times.
literally
podcast.
50 times we've already said podcast. There's
Podcast.
there's another.
We probably shouldn't do that.
Probably should stop.
Podcast.
So my first question for this whole entire thing is, do you guys make New Year's resolutions?
No.
I used to, but I stopped.
No, I kind of make my resolution every single morning when I get out of bed, to be honest with you. This is what I'm going to achieve today, and this is what I'm doing.
Here's what I'm resolving to today. I hate New Year's resolutions. I think you should be able to do it every day.
Every day.
Make a change whenever you need to.
You know what the best New Year's resolution is getting in shape, and then you have 500 people in the gym for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that used to piss me off.
So annoying.
That's when I stopped. I stopped because of that.
Yeah,
That was one of the, and I mean everybody struggles with
right.
their working out journey, but one year I was like, I'm doing this and this is what I'm going to do. That's my resolution. You start to go to the gym, whatever. And when I stopped doing that, now I do. I go to the gym. I'm there every day,
Right.
or not every day, a few days a week. And I feel like when you stop, you just do it.
Yeah.
Stop talking about it, do it. Stop talking about it, be about it.
Be about it.
I feel like everyone's always looking for the right time to change themselves or whatever, and they just feel like that's the best time to do it. And I don't.
get it though. 'Cause
I get it. It's a new year, but to me,
That's how Mondays feel for me,
Wow.
honestly.
yeah, it's a new week.
Right? It's a new week. You know?
I mean, they say Monday's, best day to start new, right? So
I always thought it felt really dumb to me. I'm like, in November, I'm thinking about what my New Year's resolution is going to be. So in November, I'm thinking about what I want to change now, but I'm going to wait 2 months to start changing it. It seems stupid.
yeah,
I'm like, all right,
yeah.
let's change it now. If it's bothering me that much that I need to make a New Year's resolution, let's
do it
fix
now.
it.
Well, and there's also that theory too, like everyone makes New Year's resolutions, so you just assume people have this like new thing they're working on. But they say if you don't tell people what you're changing, you're more likely to succeed, right?
Yeah.
So if you do it a different day, nobody's going to know when you do it. Nobody's going to know.
Nobody's going to
Nobody's going
Just think
What-
you don't tell people what you're doing.
ever.
to ever.
Just do it.
Just do your thing.
Just do your
Yeah.
thing.
Do your thing.
Iron Valley, do your thing.
Iron Valley.
Iron
do
Valley,
your
do your
thing.
thing.
Do your thing.
Yeah. So what does reinvention mean to you when you think of that for yourself?
It's like I invented something already and it broke and then I have to reinvent it.
Okay, smart ass.
You know what I mean? Like I'm a scientist and I invented, no, like I'm a inventor, right? Not a
An
scientist.
engineer.
I'm a scientific inventor. And
Did you even have
About that.
caffeine this
I
morning?
had a lot. Yeah, I had a lot.
Wow.
Actually.
Pre-workout in the morning.
No pre-workout. I don't like that stuff. Definitely coffee. 4 of them. 4 coffees today.
I'm on my first one right now. But I also wasn't up at 4:30 in the morning.
I was
So
up like a crackhead today. I don't know why. I
You were
can't
up at 4:30 this
I'm up every day at 4:30.
Really?
At 4:30 to 4:40, I just wake up now. I don't know what
You've
that's
always
about.
had a tendency to get up early.
No, I
so
did not. I don't know what this is. Like it's
told people stuff.
that's old
I
people
don't
stuff.
like it.
That's what happens.
I like getting up early too. This
gonna
week
get
I've
up
been
and do it.
slacking though.
So I thought about this morning
Mhm.
after I saw your email, and I'm like, I don't really like the word reinvention for personal. So, okay, so I'd have to separate this into two different things, right?
Go for it.
I think in business, you have to reinvent yourself sometimes, right? You have to reinvent what you're doing. You have to change it completely. You have to do whatever, right? But for me personally, I don't really ever reinvent myself. I'm just constantly evolving.
Mhm.
So like I'm always evolving or changing. Like I'm always trying to better myself, and I'm always like I overanalyze what I do on a regular basis. Corey and I talk about this a lot. I like self-reflect, sometimes to a fault. So I'm always trying to make those changes on the fly. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm always going to be myself, but I'm always trying to be a better version of myself. But I don't really feel like I'm reinventing myself.
So you don't think you've ever reinvented yourself? You've just evolved or
Yeah, I think
grew.
it just evolved. I think, I mean, when do you really reinvent yourself? Like, I'm just going to come out and be like, hey, I'm a new guy. I'm not me anymore. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, and I know some people do that. Like, I mean, I've literally seen people do that. Like, one day they dress super nice and they're all about business. And then the next day they're like goth and hate the world and they like death and weird stuff. I've seen those things, right? But that's that would be like reinventing yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Why would you need to reinvent yourself? Like, it's weird. I guess when you're young, maybe. Like,
I think well, and I'm going to go to everybody knows my past if you've listened to me talk before, but there's I kind of like the evolve thing more than anything. I think there's a point in your life where you come to that you need to make a change, and either you make the change or you don't make the change, and I wouldn't know if it's I guess it still is reinvention in a way, right?
yeah.
It was work. There was a lot of work involved in changing the people and all the different habits that I had that weren't healthy. But I do like evolution better, to be honest. I mean, it's because we're still changing. I mean, I'm to this day, I'm always trying to be better. I suck sometimes. Be the first to admit that can be a real asshole, but trying to be better, I think, is the key.
Mhm.
Trying to keep moving forward.
I think the word reinvention to me is like instant. Like when I think about that, I don't know why,
Instead of it
but
being a
me, I
longer
think
term.
like reinvention is like an instant change, and is where I think that like I typically evolve. Like it's like a slow change, like a process of changing or getting better. And I might be wrong on the definition of reinvention. That's just how I think of it personally.
So I'm looking it up right now, and
Of course it is.
the action or process through which something is changed so much that it appears to be entirely new.
Yeah, see.
So it's a process.
So, but it's all new.
But it's all
In
new.
business, it makes sense.
Yes, I think you can you can make a complete 180 in business, go from doing nothing to changing everything that you're doing and implementing all kinds of different systems and, whatever, using social media better to support your business or whatever it is, where people haven't done that before. I mean, I definitely think you can do that in business for sure.
Yeah. Personally, I guess you could do it too in some instances. Like, would an addict be a reinvention? Like if you become sober and then you look like a completely different person then, right? At the end of that.
I think it's a process. It's probably it's a mental thing first to admit or realize where you're at and then where you want to go or who you want to become or what you want to change, and then that process of getting there can be considered reinvention to somebody looking from the outside in. But
I did when I stopped, I did everything completely differently.
Sure.
I always did everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That would be
worked
like a
during the
sudden
day.
change.
I used to work in the restaurant business at night, doing the bar thing. I changed that, and I still worked in the restaurant business, but I did it during the day,
Right.
and I was in the house by 7:00. So it is reinvention, and it's doing things completely different. All those old people and places and things that I used to go to stopped. So, I mean, and I was almost militant. I was militant about it when I stopped.
I agree. And, from the personal side, but even from the business side in your business, sometimes it's worthwhile to sit back, look at it from a top level view or spend some time on how you want to change or, change your business trajectory or your image or what you're doing in your business, strategize about that and put a plan together and then reinvent that. So tying it back to the business, but no, I totally agree on the personal side too. Same things apply.
Yeah, business is extremely important. I mean, even like you just brought it
Absolutely.
up, right? Like the times are changing, right? So like, let's talk about previous to things changing, a lot of people built their business off of buying leads, right? So you built your business off of buying leads. You always had new leads coming in. You always had new customers or clients. And then that gets cut off. Well, you have to reinvent the way you do business. So now how are you going to do that? Are you going to be a persona on social media? Are you going to start going to events and networking and do those kind of things? Or are you going to work your circle of trust? Like that is kind of reinventing yourself, in that aspect.
And it's probably important to, I don't know, at least maybe every 6 months, sit down and actually take the time to think about those things and look at what, others are doing and what's working for other people. And, we get caught up in the minutia of, the daily grind, right? And sometimes you lose focus on the bigger picture type things.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, and I always link it to career, to be honest. Like, if I look at my career, I have reinvented myself every time I have changed in my career, because you have to, right?
Sure.
Like, what I experience in one organization is not the same. So sometimes you have to become a different person in some respects.
Every 7 years, we actually are a different person.
Right. If you look at that.
Fully. Every 7 years, you shed every cell out of your body and you're a new person.
Interesting.
Every 7 years.
According to Elon Musk, every day you're a different person a little bit after you wake up, after you sleep.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's fact or that's just heard him say.
I think you're a different
Your body
person.
resets when you're sleeping. Yeah, I could get that.
I mean, your cells are always replicating.
Yeah.
And regenerating.
Right.
It's interesting you said that. At least I guess I did reinvent myself, like from a business standpoint, right? Like when I decided to shift from the bar industry to the real estate industry, that was a reinvention,
right?
For sure. So yeah, business, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you have to do it. Do you think it's important to reinvent yourself or evolve? However you want to look at it.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
I mean, we were just talking about it with just the changes with leads, right?
Yeah. Unless you woke up and you're a perfect person and everything perfectly falls into place for you for your entire life, which I don't know.
Well, you have to, because things change all the time.
Absolutely.
Look at IBM. Weren't they a giant back in the day?
Yeah.
And then Apple came along.
Yeah.
And Apple was initially focused on computers.
Right.
No, I'm just looking up examples.
Right.
They evolved into the iPad, iPod. And if they wouldn't have, maybe they'd be where IBM still is.
Wow, it's a great read.
Yeah.
Well, I just think about right now too, like with AI coming in and making such a big, presence.
It's
in
scary
everything.
and cool at the same time.
How is that going to reinvent us though as people, right? You have to adapt to it to some degree, but what do you think it's going to do?
It's probably going to make people dumber.
I think there's going to be.
Let's look at technology, period.
Technology makes people dumber.
Remember when you were a kid, I knew everybody's phone number. Like all my people, I memorized all their phone numbers. I don't know anyone's phone number anyway, except for my own. Like I don't really know anyone's. I mean, a couple people. I remember my old phone number from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say, but I don't remember. You don't have to remember things anymore.
No.
I watched a video. I wish I should have saved it. I'm mad. Like 2 days ago, I watched this video and it's really cool. It was this little girl, and she's talking about how technology and all of us changed, and our wants for and needs for things have changed, right? To the point where you wanted to buy a house, right? So now you own a house, and then you make your house feel like the perfect place to be. So now you're always in your house. So now you're no longer in fresh air. So now because you're in your house all the time and it's locked up and germs and all these things are constantly recycling through the air, now we have different kinds of health issues that you had. And it was all about kind of our society moving indoors versus being outdoors. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy to watch. I wish I would have saved it, but it just talked about, if we look at a lot of the issues that we have as a society, it's because our society went from enjoying nature and being outside where we're supposed to be, where we're meant to be, and moved indoors where we're not supposed to be. Changed everything, right? Your lack of vitamin D, like your allergies, all those things could probably be directly connected to the fact that we're always indoors. We don't get sick and get the flu from being outside. We get sick and get the flu from being inside a place where other people are sick, right? So it's like, it was cool. I'm going to find that video because it was interesting. I want to share it.
And I always, when you listen to different people, they always say the best thing to do every day is to take your shoes off and go stand in grass. or go stand on the
Grounding.
sand or go, like so that you can connect to that energy.
You know,
So
I do that every day.
Do you agree?
Oh, I definitely do.
yeah, I mean, it's part of like yoga and meditation for me. Like if I can go out and just do that for a hot second. So
When I'm working, which is probably dumb, but when I'm working around my yard, I walk around barefooted almost all the time. When I'm
All
not
the
trying to-
landmines.
all the-
and all the landmines.
well, you got to clean the landmines. I wear shoes when I'm cleaning up the landmines.
All right.
I don't know what these two are doing over here.
Adam's looking up examples to talk about on the podcast.
No, I'm actually on ChatGPT.
ChatGPT right now.
Oh my goodness.
As we were talking about AI a little bit, I just created a full plan for reinventing yourself.
Oh my
Nice.
goodness. Of
What's the
course you
first step?
did.
What's the first step?
Wow.
Identify your current status.
That's the first step.
First,
Look
like,
at yourself.
take a deep look.
So going back
Set
to
their goals.
the whole
create an
thing
action
too.
plan.
with AI, the lack of critical thinking it's already gone because of technology, but like the fact that people can't make any reason or think, really, is this is this true? Should I do some research on this? They just take the first thing that comes out of
Are you
somebody's
talking
mouth.
about like young people?
And no, everybody. I see it in everybody.
It should be used as a tool, in my opinion.
So what's the thing? And this
People
is-
use it as a crutch,
makes me
though.
sound like
It shouldn't be a
an idiot
crutch,
when I
it should be
say
a
this.
tool.
Right, but people
To
do
improve
use it as
yourself.
What is it called when you have a bunch of words that like you did with Iron Valley, or somebody did with Iron Valley, and then you,
An anagram?
yeah,
it's not an anagram because that's it's something
integrate.
different.
No, it's not.
No, it's something different.
Oh,
Forget what it's called.
I know what you're talking about.
I know exactly what we're talking about too.
So anyway,
And nobody knows what you're talking about because we haven't even shared that with anyone.
well, I'm not talking.
But, yeah.
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, I know.
So say Corey Kaplan or whatever. That's stupid.
Right.
So Keone came home and he had different letters. There was like 7 or 8 letters, and he had to come up with words that make a sentence basically out of these letters.
Right.
He struggled to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that's so easy. And he's like, I just can't think of anything. I'm like, and I started spouting. Of course, my ADD. I'm like spouting off sentence after sentence. He's like, how do you do that? And I don't think it's a matter of. I just feel like kids aren't able to like reason it. Like
Everything's their phone. They go to it. I mean, I'm even guilty of it sometimes. When I didn't have my phone for those 2.5 days or whatever, I was like, something would come up and I'd be like, Google it. I'm like, oh shit. And I'd be like, Dylan, I'm like, can you Google that? Because I don't have my phone. And I'm thinking like, when I need information, I don't even try to think it through. I don't try to I'm just instantly Google. And I probably even know the answer 50% of the time, but I just go to Google right away. It's a bad habit.
Which it's using your resources, right? But you can't just assume the first thing you read and your resource is the right thing. That's, I don't know. The whole critical thinking thing drives me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, AI is scary because
Like,
what do you need people in critical thinking positions for at some point?
Liability.
Yeah, that's it.
one.
I mean, that's it.
What's holding things back, I would imagine, or it's going to hold back for a while, is the liability aspect. of it.
right.
You brought up a good point, like how it's going to reinvent the medical world,
Absolutely.
right? Because
Yeah.
no human being would ever be able to memorize medical records from across the country or even have that access to be able to do that, right? But with AI, you can plug it in and it's going to access every medical record in the world. And it's just going to be like, okay, I've seen 100 case studies of this. So now you need to look, like you said, you need to look at
It's going
this,
to
this,
spot
and this.
trends.
Yeah, like,
absolutely.
But you could never, like a human being could never, ever do that. Like it's impossible.
I mean, I think they do that already. Like I know radiology and stuff like that. Their imaging, like reviewing images, is like better than a radiologist. But obviously, you still need a radiologist
Yeah.
because
mnemonic.
liability.
It's called a mnemonic. I had to look it up.
A mnemonic.
Yeah.
Not to take away from radiologists, I'm sure they know more than
Yeah.
AI, but it's a good tool. It's definitely a good tool to, if something was missed, that it may catch.
I still think, even with all that, I do think it's great, but you still need that human component for certain things. So it's
Like
finding
the
that.
creative part.
No, even in the medical field, like, could you imagine, like, if you some robot just was like, here's your issue, I don't know.
But you have a doctor that you probably already said this. I was too busy searching that word.
For the word.
A doctor comes in to assess a patient, figures out all the things that are wrong. It goes through an AI system, and
Yeah, that's what we just said.
that's what you just said.
Yeah.
Oh crap! Hey, I'm back.
Welcome
I'm back now,
again.
guys.
I mean, a lot of that existed even 10 plus years ago. When
Yeah.
I was doing it. There were systems,
Right.
For nurses that we could just plug in symptoms and it spit out what it is,
Right.
and it gives you treatment, meds, and, everything, that goes along with it.
It's just the emotional component that's missing, right? And that gets scary then if AI gets smart enough to be emotional and have feelings.
will. I think they'll be able to to do that.
But again, it goes back. I think we said it before, like Wall-E. Like I don't want to end up in a world like Wall-E. How do you think, before we move on to all these other ones, like how are you reinventing yourself with AI in real estate as an agent? Like what can you do right now to
Write
do
your
that?
descriptions,
Writing
descriptions,
scheduling.
Yeah.
There's an app called Motion that help AI scheduling, and it reminds you of stuff. It's good for ADD.
Yeah,
I started
What's
it
it called?
and paid for it and then never used
never
it.
just ever.
So you have to actually use it, but yeah, it does
I
all
would
those
like to know
things,
how many subscriptions you have
I have
to
a lot.
things that
Yeah,
you
I
pay
have a
for
lot.
that you probably,
I
that's
do.
probably thousands of dollars.
It might be.
I would say CRMs are using it, like all of
Absolutely.
that kind of stuff, like CRMs right now, lead gen programs, they're all using AI,
Yeah.
Core, which we
Yeah.
provide for our agents. That's
which we provide for free for our
Yeah.
agents.
Free.
little plug there.
Free, little
Yeah.
plug. Hey, KB Core, we'll take a month free for that little plug. Thanks.
Who is this Katie Core you're talking about?
KD Core.
80 Cork.
Katie Core.
Oh my goodness. What about AI just for our businesses too? Like, I mean, we know Adam
Software,
likes,
like
Adam likes
it's becoming
ChatGPT.
smarter, and I
Right,
see it all the time.
letters.
Like even when I write my emails now, it's
Yeah.
trying to predict what I'm saying. you know?
Right.
I would say that what I do like it for is time. It saves time.
Absolutely.
Right, like when you, and I know sometimes like you get those brain farts or you get a mind block and then you're trying to like type an email out and you're like, okay, I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now, and you can put
Right.
it in there and boom, and it's done. So if you look at it, if you use it correctly, I think, and you're not being lazy, but you use it to save time. I mean, obviously that's the whole point of the back end systems that we use with the AI that they haven't built in, so that it's automatic, right? So that you have more time with your client.
My question is, are the people that are creating, this, are they actually using these systems? Because like Bill Gates that said he wouldn't let his kids use computers, or,
Right.
are they actually using it, or are they just using it and dumbing down the masses? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Conspiracy.
Well, and I get, you go to like saving time, right? Well, are you saving time and then not paying attention to what you are really doing? And then it comes back and bites you in the ass later because you're
Yeah, did
like,
you
oh,
read what
yeah,
ChatGPT wrote, or
exactly.
did you just put it in
Oh,
there?
I'll just have them do it and I'll send it.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting how that's
What's going to happen when AI goes rogue? Like you're like, AI, please send an email to this guy, and then the email's like, you're an asshole and I hate you, and and you didn't even know it. You're just
It goes off your real feelings. It's connected to you. You're
thinking about just your own experience, and we talked about this a little bit, but what have you experienced or focused on when you're trying to change yourself or better yourself or reinvent yourself, whatever words you want to use for that? Nothing.
I would say habits, like small steps. If you have big goals, put them down, or things that you want to change. But, Rome wasn't built overnight, so it takes small steps to get there.
Yeah.
Little things.
I always said from the very beginning of when I changed my life was the little things. It's exactly it. Like making, like for example, I couldn't find a job when I first got out of jail. I'll be honest, and I couldn't find any work at all. So I'm like,
Which is common for
Which is
anyone
common, right?
coming out
So,
of prison. So.
I went to McDonald's and I got a job. I was like, I'm gonna do what I have to do because I want to do things. I want to change my life. And as soon as I did that, kind of almost humbled myself to that point. You know what I
Right.
mean, where I didn't want to work there, but I was like, I want to change my life. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. I got another job that was better. So and I tell kids all the time, it looks like it may be kids that are struggling with drugs or whatever. It may look like it's daunting and it may look like you'll never get there, but if you just do the next right thing and just keep doing the next right thing, eventually you'll look back and all those little things add up to a big thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely good.
Our franchise post on Facebook is perfect for this that you just posted the other day, Katie. It's what was it? 90% of the thing, or it's our, what is it? Choices are like 90% how you react to it and 10% the things that happen to you or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's perfect.
It's all about
like what
reaction.
you're saying, right? It's not about how hard it is. It's about making the tough choices and making the right choice so you can move forward. Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it, which is the truth. For me, I'm going to be super cliche, and I think it's remembering your why. So, like, why did you decide that you needed to reinvent yourself? Like, what was the purpose? Like, for me, when I reinvented myself in my career, my why was my daughter, right? So, like, no matter how hard I felt like it felt, or like no matter how much I struggled through the change, you know, it was like I had to go back and remember I'm doing this because this is better for my daughter. Like, so I think that as long as you remember your why, and there is a why, I think it makes reinventing yourself easier because you have something to fall back on when it feels tough.
Yeah. For me, it's a lot of self-reflection too, and holding myself accountable, right? Like, I just think back to all the times I've had to make changes in my life, and it was sitting down, maybe journaling every day or whatever it needed to be, and just reflecting on what I could do differently instead of forming it around somebody else needing to do something for me, right? Or it's somebody else's, it's, having that accountability to do.
Taking responsibility for whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, and owning it.
Right.
Yeah, owning your stuff.
Accountability is huge.
Right.
I'm trying to teach my kids that accountability is hard.
I think it's something, me personally, I think especially the younger you are, the harder it is, right? Because you're still trying to develop your brain and everything else. So when you get into like your 20s is really where you need to make sure you're focusing on it for sure. So
You know what I've been, and now that you say that, you know what I've been trying to be better at is looking at someone's age before I judge the way they handle the situation. Because I don't care what you say, I don't care how you were brought up, I don't care how much you've been through. Age makes a huge difference. And the older I get, the more I think things through, the better my decision making becomes. And I don't think you can speed that process up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So like I had a guy, a good friend of mine, he's in his young 30s and he's kind of a hothead, right? And I'm like, yo, what is wrong with you? Like, I don't act like that. And then I had to think back. I'm like, I'm 44. What was I like in my early 30s? And I'm like, I was a lot like him.
yeah.
And so that makes me step back sometimes. And instead of being pissed off, I try to teach. Right. And so I think that like a lot of times with reinventing yourself and on all the things that we're talking about, a lot of it just comes with age.
Yeah.
And experience.
And experience is a big one. But to your point, surrounding yourself with the right people as you're reinventing yourself.
True.
Right. Like, I mean, probably just coming from using drugs and stuff, that. Like if you're hanging around with crackheads still, guess what? You're more likely going to do crack again, right?
The old saying is if you hang out in the barbershop long enough, you're going to get your hair cut. And that's 100% true.
Right.
I
hated all those cliches in there, but
people, places, and things. It's another one.
Yeah. What
But
about
that can be the same in business too.
for sure
100%.
Network and hang out with
the right people?
that
Yeah.
you want to become or be like or achieve what others have achieved.
Yeah.
To learn from them.
And that have the same values as you too. That's a big part of it too.
Exactly where I was.
Yeah.
Because you may be achieving in business and still be a big douchebag
And have no ethics.
Huge doucher, and I don't want to be
Plenty of
hanging out
those.
with huge douchers. So
Agreed.
What about change in general? Like a lot of people hate change. Anyone in this room hate change? I think Adam probably the worst. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Are you a change person?
I love change.
I love it too.
To a fault.
I don't think I love it as much as I used to love it, but I used to love change. So now
I don't know, Adam. What about you? I don't know.
I mean, I've changed a lot over
Yeah.
the years. Like if you look at my trajectory, like just in my personal and career, I was working in welding is what I went to school with, for, and then
which is a good skill to
and then I
have.
went back to college, which I was never a school person, which challenged and pushed myself to do that for business, and then went to nursing school, got my RN. That was a big change for me, and I was bartending. Never bartended. I just picked that up to cover, real estate. Never did that. Got my license to make end meets and pay my way through school. Open my own brokerage. Got my pilot's license. So like I've always been open to, not afraid to push myself
try new
outside
things.
the comfort zone.
Yeah.
The change obviously is always painful and challenging, whatever you do, because you have to put work into it to
Right.
be successful. So that's, educating yourself, researching, putting the time in to get to that point.
Yeah.
So, but in business, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
I'll say that you've gotten, just being in business with you from day one, I used to want to kill you in the beginning because you wouldn't even want anything that would be remotely a change. You wouldn't even want to hear it.
You bucked everything.
And I think like, yesterday you and I looked at that, we looked at that program, the back end system. And, 3 years ago, you would have been like, why did you schedule that? I'm not looking. Why are we looking at this? Why are we even doing this right now? We can't do this. We can't change, and yesterday you were like, yeah, let's look at it. So I would say like, your evolution in business has been really good, and you're more apt now to be open to changing, where you weren't, not that you wouldn't change before, but I think it was like a harder process with
I think,
you.
well, and
Does
I
that
think
make sense?
I agree. Yeah, I agree
But now you're more
to a
open.
point, but I think I have more ability and time and resources on my side to be able to implement those
To do
changes.
those, yeah.
Early on, it was very difficult because we were strapped in terms of the resources we had and the team of people we had
Yeah.
to be able to implement some of those things. Not to say that I wasn't, on board or wanted to do them. And
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's easier as you grow as an organization because you have more support and help.
Yeah, and you have to be willing to
We
let
have
go,
one more
right?
person.
Yeah. Well,
We have a lot more. We have a lot more.
we have,
We're not
yeah.
opening new offices, hiring
Yeah.
admins
Yeah.
for those offices.
I'm just messing.
Yeah. But it's also for some people, and I know there's people listening that are probably like this, they don't like to let go, right? So it's harder for them to change because they're like, they want that control all the time. And it's harder for them to be like,
I definitely struggle with that.
Too much change is bad though too,
It is.
right? There's like a happy
You can overdo
medium.
it.
You can overdo it. Yeah, you don't always have to change. I know that was with ADD, that was a really big problem for me as
Yeah.
younger. I'm always looking for something new to change. Like I'm bored. Let's do this. All right, I got to do this. I got to change this. Let me change this. Oh, I have 5 different occupations. This is awesome. And I don't make any money in any of them.
Because you can't focus on one.
Because you can't focus on it.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I can literally pick up every instrument and I can play it a little bit. Like I play everything,
But you're
little bit.
not like,
but I'm not good at any instrument. Like great at any instrument, but I can play. I can sit there and be like, oh wow, he's good at that. But I'm really not. I can play like 3 songs or whatever.
I know 3 chords.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
that's
It's funny because I worked
That's
for an engineering firm, and engineers are notorious about change. They hate it. But I remember still to this day having a conversation with one of the engineers I worked with. I'm like, your whole purpose in life is to change the world and how we see it.
Sure.
But you have a hard time with change. And he just looked at me. He goes, nobody's ever said it to me like that. But yeah, you're right. That is my job. And I agree. I'm supposed to be changing how we see the world. So, yeah. Anyway.
Honestly, I think that holds a lot of people back.
Yeah.
Majority of people in society, because change, it's scary. You don't know what the outcome's going to be. You constantly run through the negatives in your head, and it's outside your comfort zone. And I do think it holds a lot of people back.
It holds everybody back.
Yeah.
I remember being stuck in the car business for years because I thought this is what I can do. And I wanted to do real estate 10 years earlier.
Sure.
And I was scared to do it because I was comfortable. You're comfortable, so you don't want to step out of that comfort zone to try.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to skip the number 7 because we literally just said that it is easier. It's harder to get uncomfortable, right? You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I live in the uncomfortable zone.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm not trying to be weird, but like, if I'm not feeling challenged, I'm miserable.
Oh, me too.
Like, I want to be uncomfortable. I want things if things are like mundane and like in a schedule or something and everything is the same way all the time, I would go absolutely crazy. I need to there needs to be a shakeup. There needs to be, that's what I like about our business, because it's literally every day, as much as I want to bitch about it, but every day I wake up and I'm not really sure what my day is going to hold. I think I know what my day is going to hold. And then you wake up to 10 text messages and your phone starts ringing, and then you look at emails and then you're like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing today.
Yeah.
And that's good. I like that. So
When things aren't happening, I actually get nervous. Like, what is going on in the universe? Why do I feel this way? I'm more uncomfortable not having something challenging than I am having, I'd rather have 8 million things on my plate. But what other parts of your life besides the business and besides your career do you think you need to be changing or reinventing, staying on top of?
I think all the things. But I'm being serious. I think spiritual, physical, mental, all of it should be, you should be working in all of it. And I know that if one of those boxes isn't quite filled for me, I don't feel right. I'm so working on all of those and trying to get better in all those areas, I feel like is
Just trying to be a better person in every which way you can, mentally, physically, career, family.
I'm going to go to the stage of the physical right now, like what you were just saying. And just because I'm getting older, I'm at that point where it's like I have to be comfortable with the fact that I don't have the body of a 20-year-old anymore. So doing certain things hurts a lot more. And that's a challenge. That's uncomfortable when you're like, I can't play volleyball like I used to because I have a torn rotator cuff, or whatever the case may be. So we're kind of on that side of it right now where it's like,
I never lose a foot race.
Yeah.
And I've lost one not that long ago. And
That was
My
to me out in the
reaction-
parking lot.
No, it would never be.
We never did
Let's
that.
go.
We still need to do
Let's
that.
go.
We still
Somebody's going to
need
blow
to
out
do
their
that.
Achilles.
No, I won't. Let's do it
Or their
today.
knee.
Let's do it today. After this, we're going to do a little race. We're going to record it. And it's going to be on YouTube.
Put it on the
But
podcast.
no,
On the
like
podcast.
my reaction time is not at all what
Yeah.
it used to be. And I was like, I normally would start
Right.
fast as heck. I was like, oh, that was slow. That was real
Right.
slow.
But for me, it's also going now, what should I do in place of those things, right? Like, because I played volleyball my entire life. I haven't touched a volleyball in a year because it's just the point where I'm like, probably shouldn't be doing it anymore. So what am I going to replace? What's my new hobby, my new exercise to replace that,
My fear is not being able to run and having to ride
Me
a
too.
bike.
Yeah.
I don't want to ride a bike.
You
My-
look great in biker
I
shorts.
do not
Oh,
want to
I'll
ride a
say
bike.
that.
And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to have to
Beautiful
ride
legs.
a bike.
Yeah.
I'm going to see it.
I mean, my girlfriends and my sister and I always say we want to run in our 90s. We want to be that old lady that's like out there
Yeah.
running and people are like, look at her, And so we try to do everything so that we are able to do that, but you can't control that, right? So,
I'm going to go back to age again
okay.
because I think depending on your age, different things need to be changed, right? And
Right.
and I'm learning that, right? So I'm in my 40s now and I'm starting to take supplements, right? I'm starting to take supplements.
Yeah.
I'm starting to work out more. I'm starting to think about stretching. Like there's a lot of things that you didn't have to think about.
Mobility.
Like, and then I also think like from a mental standpoint, like you start looking at things differently too. You start looking at your relationships, like how you built your relationships, how you handle your relationships.
Mhm.
You start looking at, different things matter, I think, with age, with changing in age. So I think that like you have to always be cognizant of that. Like your life is changing because you're aging.
Mhm.
And so I think that I've been making a lot of changes this year, physically and mentally. Like I never gave a shit about things like worrying about my health or worrying about my mental health or doing things like yoga or meditating or like,
Mhm.
but now I'm starting to like see the benefits of those kind of things and understand that I wish I would have done it at a younger age. It's okay that I didn't, but I'm at that point. I think we're at, in your 40s, you're still young enough to make those changes where you're going to be good for the rest of your life. But if
Mhm.
you get too much further past that,
Right.
like,
Mm.
I think it might be too late. So
It's amazing how if you actually, just because I'm a runner, the number of people who start running in their 50s and 60s and end up being like elite
Good
for their
runners.
level and
That's
winning
crazy.
races
Because
because they
they-
started so late.
And their knees were not shot.
Right.
Yeah.
because they didn't beat their bodies up
Yeah.
the same way. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So
I
it is
didn't
pretty
think
cool
about
to
that.
see the
Oh,
people
yeah.
who are like, yeah, I started doing this when I was
So
50.
Eric and I did a 10, it was a few weeks ago. We did a 10K.
Yeah.
And I was, he talked to everybody. I was talking to this older guy. He was
Yeah.
76.
Right.
He ran the 10K. He was he was in last place, but he ran the whole thing.
Yeah.
To me, he
He's a
won, He
beast.
won the day.
Yeah.
To me, he
Yeah.
won the day. I mean, I want to be 76 running 10Ks. That's
Yeah.
pretty. And he said he runs one every weekend. So
That's awesome.
it's cool.
I want to be doing stand-up wheelies at 76 on my bike.
I mean,
When
that's
you're
cool
in your
too.
Wheelchair.
That you ride twice a year
So just around town.
Just around,
illegally,
But you're still.
allegedly.
allegedly.
Wait, what? Well, we won't talk about that.
No, we won't talk
Let's
about
go
his
to that
track
one.
bike.
It's all good. Anyway, do you guys have any advice for anyone
Fit
who's
it out for
currently
performance.
Oh,
have any?
gotcha.
Do you have any advice for anyone who's currently in a transition period or thinking of reinventing themselves?
Just do it. Keep your head down and do it.
Don't be
Don't tell
overwhelmed by
everybody
the
what you're
end.
doing. Just do it.
Sorry, Corey.
Well, you definitely just cut me off.
I did step on you.
That was
Yeah.
complete,
That was
disrespect.
rude of me.
This
Yeah.
is so disrespectful.
Adam,
Wow.
it's your
You're
turn.
going to trip me in the race now, are you?
You're damn right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a rock at you.
Adam, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll do it.
No, you really.
He
wanted to
lost
go.
his thought now.
He looked up
train of thought.
some more things to talk about
No,
on
I
Chat
didn't.
GPT. He wants to share them with us, guys.
Actually, I'm
Jesus.
reading my email.
Wow.
No, I just, again, back to, if you want to make a change, it starts with the small steps, and you can't be overwhelmed by the end result that you want to get to. You have to just push through every day and make small steps, and eventually you will start seeing things change and progress in your life and business. And it's not an overnight thing.
Right.
This people say all the time, it's a 35-year overnight success, right? When
Mhm.
people see their businesses
Rome wasn't built in a
grow
day.
all of a sudden, it's
Yeah.
everything that went into it before.
You know, that we're lucky. I've heard that a million times over the last,
Yeah.
you know, we're lucky. You're lucky.
We get so hard on ourselves and we're like, we're not doing enough. We're not growing enough. And everyone's like, you have that many offices already? You know, like, so it's a big deal. We're hard on ourselves. Yeah.
My advice to people would be, why are you looking to reinvent yourself first, right? And again, we'll go back to the why, but
Mm-hmm.
why are you reinventing yourself? Why do you feel the need to? And then before you start, research and look into what other people have done previous to you, you know, that are looking to make the same kind of switch, and talk to people and look for people to help you. Because I think that also comes with age. I never wanted help. And I think it's invaluable to find people that have gone through the same things that you're going through that can coach you through it. So I think just look for help and don't be afraid to ask.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to go back to what I always say. You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, you know, it sucks, but if you know what the end game is, it's worth it. So just keep at it.
Someone used to say to me, don't quit before the magic happens.
Right.
Like, you may be right around the corner from that big thing.
That's a good
and
point.
That's 100% true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yep. All right. Let's end with a question. And then should we do a funny one? No. If you had to sell your soul for one thing, what would it be?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Sorry.
Rob's contemplating this one. What would I sell my soul
A longer life.
The only thing that I would do,
Longer life.
probably to my family. Like, if it was
Yeah.
going to make them live,
Yeah.
or something. There was a situation where they
Yeah, I
would
could get on board with that.
I would get down
that's the
with it
only
for my
thing that I would.
kids.
It's the only thing I could do.
I think this is a good one and goes with what we were talking about. So let's do this, then we'll end. If you could change one thing to make life easier for your children, what would you do?
I'm already working on that. Financial freedom. No, I don't know.
You don't know what you would change?
Independence, teaching, independence at an early age, and accountability and responsibility, because then you're setting them up to be, self-sustainable themselves as an adult. You're teaching that at an early age.
I don't know what to change. I don't know. It's tough.
I feel like
The
I'm doing
world.
things so perfectly. So I'm just far from it.
The world. I don't like, if I could change the world to make it a better place. I think your biggest fear for me is, for my kids, is what the hell are they going to be left with? Like,
Right.
what is the, and I hear that from a lot of people. They're like, why would I want to bring up kids in this world, like the way the world is right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, if I could change, like, it doesn't matter how much you teach your kids, how much money they have, how much effort you put into them, their environment kind of controls the way their destiny goes, right? In a lot of ways. So,
Mhm.
We could teach them all you want, but if there's another pandemic and everybody dies, it doesn't matter how much you taught them, or,
Yeah.
or if the world like collapses.
That's
if
a little extreme.
I mean, I'm just saying,
But
if we
it's
have,
true.
I mean, we just went through that, right? And
Right.
it changed the world. But, or if there's a financial collapse and the world goes crazy, you know what I mean? We can't control that. So I feel like if I could fix the world, or fix the United States, at least, at a smaller level, like I would do that, make a better place.
Change the environment. Change the environment for them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What then?
I got nothing.
Yeah, I would say trying to just give them opportunities,
Yeah.
but not making them dependent on you or giving them money, because, there's been people that have been given a
Not change.
ton of money, like as kids, and if it's destroyed their lives too, or they squandered it. So
I felt like the changes that we're making in like family dynamics from my past, that's what I look as change.
Yeah.
So, taking the negatives,
Mhm.
like in my life, like father's issues, and changing that for my kids. is
Breaking the
breaking
cycle.
Yeah, breaking the cycle. I think that is what I want to leave my kids, so that they can have that cycle's broken and they can go on and live a normal life, quote unquote, normal life.
I always was more on like I want my kid to be a kid, right? That's my thing. Like giving them the opportunity to be children. So not giving them cell phones until they're mature enough and making them go outside every day.
Yeah.
So, all right, man.
We done.
That's it.
And
No.
woman,
That's all she wrote.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Peace out.
Later.